Today I am planting black beans and garbanzo beans, but not for the purposes of eating them fresh. The goal is to grow rows of these high protein staples for the pantry. What I grow, I will be letting dry right on the plant, then I'm going to harvest them and pressure can them. Not only for food security, but also to let my pressure canner earn its keep. In fact, whatever doesn't get planted today is actually going to be pressure canned in a different video, if you'd like to check that one out. These beans have been soaking for less than 24 hours, a little bit less than 24 hours, and so they are already ready to get planted. So let's get started. The black beans we are going to plant in this 4x8 bed, and the garbanzo beans will go in this 2x5 foot bed. I do have some volunteer wild spinach here, all from the seeds of that guy right there. You can see they really love it here, and they've even started to spread out here into the pea gravel. So the chickens will have plenty to eat as a snack. So I'm going to clear all these little sprouts out because I don't want them to actually impede any of my black beans. And then I'm going to thoroughly wet the soil before I even start putting the seeds in the ground. Black beans prefer a soil temperature of at least 65 degrees. And well, I'm not sure if that means at all times or just during the heat of the day. We are kind of hitting that consistently in the early morning. So I feel confident that they will be fine. And we have some very high temperatures coming up in the next few days. So even if I was wrong, I shouldn't be wrong by that much. So we are going to be planting 5 rows of black beans 9 inches apart from each other. And then within the rows, the plants will be 3 inches apart. That is way too close for them to be when they are full grown. However, we are planting more than we think we need because we want to really hedge our bets in case any of them don't germinate. Once they are all starting to grow, I will pick the strongest of the lot and thin out the rest. And their final spacing will be 6 inches between each other. And I do want to note that when I thin, or when you thin, you want to make sure to clip them rather than pick them. And that's because when you pick them, you might disturb the roots of the neighbors that you're actually keeping in the ground. Okay, so with my handy dandy stick here, I will be making 9-inch rows, which means right there, roughly speaking. And then these black beans like to be 1 inch down. And while I don't particularly like things not being perfect, nature doesn't really care, so that is always a benefit. When you plant them, make sure that you have the eye facing down. And just like that, we've got them planted. Probably close to 180 of them started in here. So we will cover them up, get them watered in just out of paranoia. We'll put our drip line down. It's not currently connected, so we will have to water by hand. And then I will cover this with a layer of straw, because then I won't have to worry about having killed them by not watering them. My biggest weakness of planting black beans is that I plant them too deep, and then they take so long to germinate because they have so much farther to go through before they can see the light of day. But I am hopeful that I did a better job this year. We shall see. I have grown black beans successfully without this layer of straw, so I'd say this is pretty optional, but I had it, so I thought I would use it. And just like that, we've got one bed done. The biggest project of the day is complete. Now I do want to mention that the seeds that I planted today are bush bean variety, and I got them from the store. Most beans that you buy in bulk are probably going to be bush beans. They could be pole beans, but I'd say in a large industrial situation, they're going to be choosing the bush beans because then they don't have to trellis the pole beans. So if you want to get this started in your own garden, you do not need to buy specialty beans unless you really want to. If you were here with me when we planted the potatoes, we've got some coming on up. Looks like the seed potatoes won the race to who could sprout the fastest. Time for the garbanzo beans, but I am going to learn from my mistake of the black beans, and that is to use this clean cup to get myself more beans. I just rinsed off the black beans, and it was very annoying trying to get all the sticks and the dirt out. So we will try to avoid that this time around. So with garbanzo beans, they like to have a little bit more support, even though they're kind of like a bush bean. Luckily, I've got two things working for me, not against me, with this setup. One is that I'm planting them thickly enough that they will kind of support each other. The other thing is these garden fencing. They are intended to keep the chickens out, and it works really well because it's not flat at the top, which means that they could jump to the top and then roost and then jump down into the bed. Because it's curved like this, they don't do that. And by them being here, we end up getting what is called a box trellis. So the chickpeas on the side are not going to fall out of the bed onto the walkway here. This is going to end up keeping them in. If you don't have something like this, then just putting posts at the four corners and then just tying a string around the top, like maybe a foot up, should do the trick just nicely as well. So with these garbanzo beans, chickpeas, don't eat that. The spacing for these chickpeas is going to be 4 rows, 6 inches apart, which does seem crazy dense, but as I said, they need the support of each other. And then similar to the black beans, we are going to be overplanting them. We're going to be doing them 4 inches apart within the rows, and then thinning them out to 6 inches. Don't eat those, please. No, ma'am. Don't eat it. And what will be different from the black beans is that these beans will actually be about 1.5 inches to 2 inches deep. That will help them with my climate. So 3 inches in, which does seem very close to the edge. And then 4 inches between that and the next row. No, 6 inches. And then 4 inches between each bean. I have never grown garbanzo beans before, so if you have any tips, let me know. Assuming I grow these successfully, this kind of spacing is looking at about 2 to 3 pounds of harvest. And with the black beans, I'm hoping to get 8 to 15 pounds of harvest. So follow along if you want to find out how I do. I'm going to go can these beans. And thanks for watching.